Bien le bonjour everyone and welcome to my channel. Today is my long due Queen full guide. And when I say full on long due, there is a reason. I tested him for a very long time. I went through probably more than 100 reports. And when I say I went through them, I calculated the rage per turn every single round for most of them. So yeah, trust me, I discovered a lot of things that even the biggest YouTubers have not figured out yet. So bear with me with my terrible English, and bear with the very long time we're gonna spend together because I think we are in for 40 minutes, hands down. There is a lot of things to figure out. So because it's a full guide, I'm gonna break down the basics of that commander. Um, Those are massive words of text, but it can be very easily break down. Your basic attacks will proc Iron Pierces Bronze, skill number 2. Uh, what the proc is, you consume 100 rage to turn your 200 basic normal damage factor from a basic attack into skill damage. Whenever you deal damage from Iron Pierces Bronze, if you have the buff Eternal Emperor, which is the active skill, you are gonna splash that damage to 5 targets. And spoiler alert, it's to 5 other targets. You cannot proc Eternal Emperor on your Iron Pierces Bronze targets. And what does that mean? Well, there is one more thing. Iron Pierces Bronze plus the Eternal Emperor both proc Seal Above All, so the skill number 3, which is also the expertise. That means that Seal Above All will actually proc on 6 targets. Your Iron Pierces Bronze target, on your 5 Eternal Emperor targets. So yeah, he's a 6 target commander. Wonderful. Yeah. As shown in my thumbnail, yeah, he breaks a lot of rules. So now for the test, because he's very specific with his rage behavior, like he consumes rage and he casts his active skill on rage consumed threshold. My first test was a 5500 to have a very controlled environment and a nice, beautiful round number. 100 is a tenth of 1,000. Wonderful. We love round number here. So, yeah, what did I find out? Well, a lot of things with a very simple test. I just attacked a barbarian with a talentless naked queen. That means my only rage gain is going to be from basic attacks and counter attacks. Uh, Reminders, a basic attack grants 86 rage and a counter attack grants 16. Because I'm way stronger than the barbarian, I'm not gonna get rage compensation, so we can discard that. So battle log, round 1. On round 1, barbarians tend to be asleep, so they won't attack you right away, they only counter attack you. That means I gain only 86 rage. Because I only have 86 rage that turn, I do not proc Iron Pierces Bronze. Makes sense. Turn 2, I get another 86 rage plus a counter attack because the barbarian finally woke up. So despite having almost 200 rage, I did not proc Iron Pierces Bronze. If it were, it would be displayed here. See round 3. It was converted to direct damage. They slotted it just right here in between those two barbarian patrol. So that's already a massive thing. You cannot spend the rage, you just gain. On the turn, you're gaining it. So yeah, that's already massive. One more thing I found out with that report, and a very simple test, is that, well, first of all, because I start spending rage on turn 3, I spent 100, 200, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. On the next turn, I cast the active skill. Makes complete sense. The one thing I wanted to talk about is that it's a self buff and it behaves like almost all buffs. What do I mean by that? Well, you buff yourself on the next turn. At the start of the next turn, you only start getting the benefit from it. Like almost all buffs, because yeah, CY on Shajar, the previous Archer commander, did not work like this. They will get the benefits of the buff right as they gain the buff. So on the very same turn. This is massive and yeah, it has to be shown. So now that's done. Then I wanted to see how he behaves as a secondary commander. that seems kind of useless, but yeah, I still wanted to check that. Boy oh boy, a simple test like this showed something completely crazy. By the way, I just is that the report? Oh yeah, right, yeah. Turn 13. Isn't that what we just got? Why is he going to activate White Conquer 6? Well, as it turns out, despite being the secondary, that means that the skill cycle we expect is every 1000 wage accumulated, YSG will cast his active skill, and then after a second of downtime, Queen will cast his active skill. Well, it's actually the case. I don't think I went far enough in that one, yeah. But alongside that regular skill cycle, that expected skill cycle, Queen decided, because he's broken as hell from every single port, that he is also gonna cast his active skill whenever he spends 1000 rage. So he casts his active skill under two conditions: as a secondary to a regular commander, and whenever 1000 rage is spent. Which is completely busted. This is completely busted. That makes no sense. Like that dude goes like, yeah, because why not? I just want it, so I'll do it. All right, perfectly fine. That makes no sense. So what I wanted to show also is that uh, I have to pick that report. I think, yeah. Uh, where is it? All right, 20,000 damage. That's YSG activation. Uh, whenever you see that line, a commander is going to activate a skill, his own active skill. All the rage is discarded. And by that I mean all of it. And that very specific report is wonderful. We will go more in depth on that one just after this. I have no rage because, well, right here, I cannot convert my attack. It would be written here. I did not convert my attack. And by the way, I gain a truckload of rage here. My basic attack, the two talents, rejuvenate, and the counter attack. So yeah, I have way over 100 rage, and I still did not convert I still did not proc Iron Pierce's Bronze. And because of that, I also cannot proc Eternal Emperor and Seal above all. So obviously I don't have those skills yet because it's still 5500. I wanted a very controlled environment with only 100 rage spent per turn. Because yeah, as we will see, that allows me to prove very massive thing. Like yeah, from that very specific report, I went in and counted the rage every single turn. Um, on turn 6, what happens? Oh, it's maybe just I started counting from here. Yeah, all right. Sorry, it's a bit, yeah, all right. It was on turn 7. On turn 7, something particular occurred. Turn 7, I gained way too much rage. I gained 86 from my basic attack, 16 from my counter attack, 18 from the basic talents. I had a favorable nature proc and a home fury proc. That means that my rage is my rage gain. Wait, sorry, I didn't write it down. Sorry. Plus 9, plus 65, plus 100. And I forgot my counter attack. All right. That's the actual rage I gain on that specific turn. Like way above the rage cap. So raise the question. Uh, when is the rage cap applied? I just did two. I decided to separate the thing and calculate both hypotheses. Like, is the rage cap applied after or before the rage is spent? And as it turns out, so yeah, if I have to remove 100 from what I gained without any cap, that's it. If it's reduced, then consumed, it's 120. So I just go on with the test. On turn 11, I again gain way too much rage. I don't think that's the rage gain, is it? Yeah, oh yeah, right, yeah, that's it. On turn 13 again, it occurs. for me to cast my active skill on turn 14, collapse all please, the only way for that to actually occur is if it's uncapped. The rage is uncapped. So yeah, that's massive. That commander is busted. Because if he does that as a secondary, he obviously does that as a primary too. And that should completely change the talent build you're gonna do for him. So I made an assumption is that they would only increase the rage cap. What is that? Yo, get out of my sight. Is that the rage cap would only be increased by the rage you consume in a single turn for it to be balanced. Otherwise, you would run out of steam way too fast because of all the rage of the ways you have to consume your rage. So I made that assumption. I could not prove it. Sadly, I made a lot of tests and I could not. It was very hard because I had to use Zhuge Liang with 5 targets, and yeah, I mean it was very difficult with only barbarians to help me. So I didn't get a very lucky report. I went through a lot of them, but it was not enough. So if you want to try, try it yourself. But so I, despite it, went on with my assumption that yeah, the cap is only increased and not completely removed. And just to make sure I was right, I just did another report after I found out that, and I tested it. Where is it? Right, it's the very next report. And yeah, again, I counted the rage from turn 1, and it made a lot of sense. And why did I mention that second report? Because it was a very lucky report, because I also go way beyond 1,000 rage, right? So if it was capped, it was that. So yeah, if there was this rage was capped, I would only be at that amount of rage. So yeah, you have to have it uncapped. It's very interesting because in that very specific case, very specific report, I went above 1,000, but I went way above 1,000 in a single increment. Something very funny happened in that report. So battle log. I think it's here. All right. So Queen casted his active skill as 1,000 rage spent. All right, it's turn 12. Makes sense. It's Queen. All right. Where is it? Right. 1 conquer 6. Wonderful. Second of dying time. I have over 1,000 wage. I'm actually over 1,200 wage. It's very funny because when you discard all the rage because your primary accumulated 1,000, all right, I'm casting Rain of Arrow. Well, the only way for something, let's start counting, all right? On turn 12, I cast the active skill. I mean, I start spending rage. So 100, 200. I have no rage, so I'm still at 200 spent. 300, 400, 5, 6, 7, 8. Active skill? What the hell? I'm 2 rounds shorter than expected. Well, the only way for it to make sense is if the extra 224 rage is actually counted towards the rage spent. And I had a lot of reports that suddenly made a lot of sense. Yeah, I went through a lot of reports until I figured out those two things, that the rage cap is removed, or at least increased, and that the rage is discarded because it was not very obvious if all the rage was discarded or how it was working. Yeah, all the rage is discarded, but the rage discarded beyond the rage requirement is counted. And suddenly, all my reports started to make sense. I was so relieved when I found out that. So yeah, with that in mind, now that we've actually figured out how the rage behave, we can go for the rage calculation. So after that, I obviously unlocked the skill of my queen and went further beyond. So queen solo with basic talents, basic attack, burning blood, razor sharp. I do not count a counter attack because in real fight open field, you're not gonna deal a lot of counter attacks. You're gonna retreat as soon as your screen turns red. So I did not count it. So 104 rage per turn. Obviously there is a rage compensation, but it's to whenever it was way too unreliable, I didn't factor it. All right. Skill number 3, when expertise, learned you 15 rage per target. All right. So yeah, a very simple table with 1 target, 2 targets, 3 targets, and so on. That means that your total gain from Queen alone of rage per turn is here. But to function, you also consume 100 rage to proc Iron Pierces Bronze, plus 25 rage per target to proc Seal Above All, the skill number 3. That means that Queen alone has a balance per turn, basically an upkeep, if you want, a negative upkeep if he's alone, with just very basic stuff. So ignore that part. That's me assuming that the rage cap is not entirely lifted, but only increased by what you spent for balance purposes. That's just me as a game creator to assume that, yeah, you need to retain some balance. By the way, that doesn't make much sense because that commander is absolutely not balanced. So whatever. So with that up, upkeep per turn in mind, on the fact that there is no rage cap apparently, I did the calculation for 3 situations. YSG, Zhuge Liang, which are the 2 best pairings, and if you want to go with an engine-less commander, I also did the math. So let's start with YSG. So I took my base again, and I just add the YSG's Raid Engine. So it's a very easy one. It's just a Feral Nature, 10% chance to get 100 rage. So on average, it's 10 rage per turn. Wonderful. So you add that to your upkeep, and the upkeep is still garbage. I mean, if you hit maximum number of targets, you're gonna run out of steam so fast. By the way, I didn't want to lose too much time to read all the skills because I think you did it yourself. You can start the fight with a 500 rage from the skill number 4. So that means, yeah, you're gonna run out of steam in almost 10 turns. Like if you tank 1 or 2 hits with your skill 4, you're definitely gonna run out of rage and out of steam. So that sucks. You need more rage. So what if we add rejuvenate? Rejuvenate is increment of 60. That's an average of 30 because Queen machine gun is active skill like every 4. He has a skill cycle of 4 seconds. Because a full skill cycle is 2 active skills, that means 2 procs, so 2 procs out of 4 seconds, 30 rage. And now we have an upkeep that is a lot more pleasant to the eye. Even if you hit maximum number of targets, you have a decent number of turns before running out of steam. So I went about further beyond. Again, assuming that the rage cap is not completely lifted, but only increased by a reasonable amount. So if that's the case, can you overrage? All right. The most rage you can gain above, in addition to that number, is a YSG proc plus a rejuvenate. So 160 rage. So with my increased rage cap, well, actually, you are never gonna overrage. Actually, you can even add a talented horn that is 65 rage, and you're never gonna overrage too. Again, if my hypothesis is right. So yeah, feral nature is useless on YSG because on the other hand, if you are not hitting many targets, you are gonna overrage a lot. And by the way, your upkeep is already almost fixed. So bring your feral nature is not the play. Definitely not the play. You can bring a horn, as I said, if you want to have some rage in your tank to, well, tank skills. So yeah, it's a matter of choice. Do you want to be more damaging? If so, pick whatever damaging accessories you got. Or if you want to be more tanky, bring your own. But I would not go as far as taking Feral Nature. By the way, I could not get that very lucky round where I get Feral plus Talented Orn plus Rejuvenate plus YSG thing. Like I couldn't get that sadly, so uh, you need to get that lucky to actually break my theory, my limit theory, right? So if you want to try it, and if you got the result, please bring it to my attention. I'm very interested in that. So yeah, Rejuvenate, definitely the play. Feral Nature, probably not. Talented Horn, or even regular Horn, perfectly fine. Now let's go with Zhuge That's a big one. All right. First of all, by preparing my video, I discovered that my Zhuge video, that is almost a year old, bear its fruits. They rewarded the skill to actually match what it does. Because before my video, it was not saying the secondary commander, it was saying when this commander casts casts an active skill. So it was completely misleading. Yeah. Zhuge uh, consume and get the marquee effect only on secondary commander activation. And it's worse than that. On the secondary commander activation once per skill cycle. What do I mean by that? Well, I tested it with Jeanne, and when Jeanne got her double cast, it was not working. The second cast did not proc marquee. All right. So yeah, because of that, Zhuge is actually a must-be primary. When there is a rage cap, because yeah, if it's secondary, you are gonna get 30 rage times 5 from his active skill, plus 30 rage times 3 from the marquee effect. That's 240 rage from that alone, plus your basic attack, plus rejuvenate. Like you are over raging like crazy. Zhuge is a must-be primary, and so many people ignore it. It's saddening, especially when yours truly made a wonderful guide almost a year ago. So, all right, enough messing around. Back to Queen paired with Zoo. So if you put Zoo secondary, you are gonna get one every four. Sorry. You either get 100 rage, 150 rage from Zhuge active skill if it does not have the marquee effect, either, as I said, 240 rage for a 4-turn skill cycle. Now, because you have one time the buff, one time not the buff, and so on and so forth, while you have to average it. Well, that's very easy. You just do 150 plus 240 divided by 8 turns, a 2 skill cycle. So yeah, the average is pretty neat. And by the way, it's very low because hey, if you're hitting a single target, you're not getting 150 plus 240. You're actually getting 30 plus 60. All right. Yeah, all right. 30 when you do not have the marquee effect, 60 when you have the marquee effect. All right. Sorry. Oh. So suddenly your upkeep goes from pitiful to wonderful. When you pair him with Zhuge secondary, the upkeep is nice. It's very neat. It's very nice. Like, look, it's even better than Rejuvenate YSG. What does that mean? Well, you don't even need Rejuvenate. You don't need Rejuvenate on Zhuge. Oh, and by the way, I just again went out of my way. If my theory on the rage limit is right, you can't even overrage. You can't even overrage. If my limit is right, if you pick Rejuvenate, you can overrage, so on maximum number of targets. So yeah. Uh, what does that mean? Well, the actual true absolute right talent build when paired with Zhuge is actually that one. You don't want Rejuvenate, nor do you want a Horn. So I have 6 points left. Matter of choice. You can pick Naked Rage, or you can drop a few points from Whistling Arrow to go grab the Marsh Pit over here. Really depends on what you want. Because I have Iconic 5 pair of boots, not talented yet, sadly, I'm gonna drop the Rage and take more damage. If you don't have very speedy boots, maybe you could drop some damage to go grab the Marsh Pit. So I personally think Naked Rage is the play, because it's only skill damage taken increase. It's not all damage taken increase, so I think it's worth it. there is less and less skill damage commander. I mean, we have more and more spite on combo commander. And I know Queen is dealing a lot of skill damage, but every player can only bring one. There is only one Queen per player. You can't bring three. Trust me, if I could, I would, but I can't. So yeah. So this is not a discovery. I mean, every other YouTuber said it, that it was the play. But as for Zooge, this is the play. And I have 3 points left, so you can do 1% of attack here and 2%, 1% of health here. But because it's only half of percent for that port, I'm personally gonna do that. Because I have a lot of health because of my city skin. And that pairing also has a lot of health. And I also have a massive health gear. So yeah, I'd rather max my stats. Get more stats, even if it's attack. But that's just my personal choice. So yeah, that's why this is the best pair in the game. Simple as that. That pair is broken. So now, if you really want to pair with someone else, or if maybe we get another commander in the future, what if we have no Rage Engine? Well, obviously you want Rejuvenate on the Horn. This is the average, alright? And your upkeep is nice. So yeah, decent. Very, very decent upkeep. So yeah, you can go without a Rage Engine commander, but you need Rejuvenate on the Horn. You still do not need Feral Nature. So if my hypothesis on the rage cap is right, you can even slot in Feral Nature if you want more rage to be more tanky or to be able to tank more. That's a personal choice again. But with Zooge, if you really want it, go pick Rejuvenate, but not gonna lie, I think it's a bad play. You are perfectly fine. I mean, that's very good. I mean, you really need to hit full target every single time. And by the way, because you start with the Marquee effect, you're gonna have a bigger increment of rage on the first skill cycle. And if you have to retreat or if you drop out of fight, well, you're fine. Well, whatever. If you drop out of fight, anyway, you don't care about your rage tank. All right. So yeah, we've discussed my discovery. We've discussed the true ultimate best talent build. Now let's compare the damage. Is Queen that broken? Well, trust me, he's more broken than you actually think he is. If so, I calculated the damage from the main command, the Big Eaters commander, but I only took the base damage factor on a maximum number of targets. I did not factor the on hits, for instance, BQ on the fourth or third skill, I forgot. I'm not an infantryman, I can ignore that one, alright? Where is BQ? I think it's kill free. Yeah, it's kill free. I did not factor that on hits because it's very inconsistent, it's very unreliable. So yeah, that's his damage. That's the second part of his active skill. For Zhuge that's the active skill, and that's the fourth skill. For Arthur, that's the active skill, and that's the expertise. So that's their total damage, again, alone, in one skill cycle. So for Queen's active, I already did the explanation in my previous Queen video, pre-release video, and nothing changed since then. I just put the number back here. Yeah, it's 1,300 damage, skill damage factor per turn. So how does that compare? Well, if you go all the way up, how to say it so that it's easily understandable, right? This is the number of damage you deal per turn. So that's not your DPS, it's your total damage. That's the DPS. If you go all the way to 5 turns, you've dealt more damage than Arthur. That means that for Arthur to be more damaging, to have a higher DPS than Queen, he have to cast his active skill faster than 5 seconds, which is impossible, especially on the first skill cycle. On the first skill cycle, you can expect turn 8 if you're lucky, turn 7 if you're very, very lucky. And then your rejuvenates are gonna start working in on reducing your skill cycle pace by 1 or maybe 2 turns. But realistically, to go at 6 is starting to get ridiculous. ridiculously unlikable. All right, unlikely. Sorry. So yeah, what does that mean? I mean, none of this commander can reliably get to 5 or 6 or below skill cycles. For BQ, it's technically 5, but because it's normal damage, it's a bit stronger, arguably. So that's why I placed him in between the two, right? Depending on what you consider being the best damage type. And trust me, it's normal damage. So anyway, none of this commander can cycle that fast. That means that commander has more DPS than the big three. And that's not all. That dude deals damage from the get-go. Like right from turn number 2, it is 1,300 damage. That means if you have to retreat or if your target retreats on round number 2, you've secured damage. Whereas none of those did. This is disgusting. When you are guaranteed to deal damage, you should be dealing less damage. And yet he does more. That dude deals more damage and is guaranteed to do the damage. This is absurd. Like, that dude is busted as hell. I mean, my thumbnail says it all. He breaks the target cap. He breaks the rage cap. He breaks the DPS. He breaks everything. Like, this is absurd. That commander is busted as hell. So now, thank you for watching until then. I don't have much more things to uncover, but I already proved quite a lot. So the one thing I couldn't prove or figure out is when paired with Zhuge when it's secondary to Zhuge something very weird happens. So let's pick a random report. One where Zhuge uses active skill, probably here. Yeah, all right, wonderful. So on that turn, as I said, I discard all my rage. All right, commander is going to activate active skill. That means on the next turn, I start the turn with 0 rage. And yet, when it's Zhuge on only Zhuge I tried all the other archers. I tried Zhuge with all configuration, no feral nature, no rejuvenate, no nothing, something, a few things here and there. And whatever the rage I gain, I'm always converting the damage. I'm always proccing Iron Pierces Bronze, despite me not having 100 rage. I tried everything. I thought to myself, all right, maybe the rage gained on that part, that part that is after that part that says discard all rage. I thought to myself, maybe that rage lingers actually. But even with that, I did not almost never found a way for it to make sense because I definitely do not have 100 rage. I only have 50. All right, because 30 minus plus 45 plus minus 35 is 0. So yeah, I do not have enough rage and I cannot make sense out of it. I really tried very hard and I can't figure it out. So I thought to myself, maybe it's because it's barbarian. I tested versus one of my form. That still does not make any sense. That's right. Zhuge paired with Queen is completely broken, so broken that I cannot make sense out of it. This is the first time it occurs to me in Rise of Kingdoms. So yeah, I'm a bit sad about this, but hey, you know what? I think I've discovered a lot of things, and I'm glad to share it with the community. So if you found that video not entertaining, I'm not a good entertainer, I'm honest with myself, but at least educational. I think you definitely learned something about that game. So yeah, if you did, I don't know. Hey, you know what? I pay myself in English practice by making those videos, but you know, you can also pay me more. Drop a like and subscribe for more. Oh, that's right. A little bonus. I completely forgot. Why did I bother talking about No Rage Commander? Well, there are obviously two pairings that jumps to the mind. It's Tomiris. That's not from me. I'm not gonna lie. That's from other YouTubers. Uh, because yeah, if Tomiris is a primary, you're almost never gonna use the active skill, so you're almost never gonna clear the poison stack. So for swarming flags on fortress on cities, it's good. And only there, I saw someone asking to me, "Hey, it seems very strong. I should use that." No, dude, you're not a swarmer. You're too weak to swarm anything. So don't do that. It's only for swarming cities. On the other pairing is Philip, and it's a legit pairing. Why is that? Well, we all enjoy YSG because of his 50 plus 12% skill damage. But when we go to Philip, he has a permanent 30% over here. And because you machine gun the skills, like you have a skill cycle of 4 seconds. The buff lasts for 2 seconds, and it's doubled for the casting march. So times 2 divided by 2, you actually have on average 10% less all damage and 20% more all damage. So you have 50% all damage on average, which is massive. And by the way, because you machine gun so fast, you actually, well, buff your marches more, your other marches more. So this is very good, but actually I think this is gonna be very good because right now Queen is the biggest DPS in the game. That means he needs all the support you can give him. Like, if you want something, give it to him. So if you put Philip with him, you're actually not giving him the most efficiency possible. Like, you would get more value if he's paired with YSG and he receives the buff from Philip from another march. That way, your Queen's damage is actually higher. So whenever Queen will not be the very best, it can start becoming a buffing march, more of a buffing march. It will still be very damaging. Like, when that dude will be damage equivalent damage wise is like in 10 years maybe. So yeah, that's very far. But whenever it's not gonna be the dude, like the emperor, the king, the whatever you want, that's when machine gunning Philip's active skill actually start getting more value. I think now is not the play. But if you really want to, there is one thing I would do, and is to lock the expertise. Before they rewarded Zhuge Liang's fourth skill, I thought for sure, I was 100% sure, because of the wording, that whoever is the primary, like is it Philip or the other commander, the primary is the one to have the 40% chance to use his active skill. And the secondary commander only have 20% chance. Whoever it is, Philip or the other one. So that's why I always said Philip must be a secondary. And I still think it's the case, but now I'm only 99% sure because they completely rewarded Zhuge Liang's active skill. So now I need to test it. I actually need to test it now. So yeah, I will again go through a damn 1,000 reports just to make the statistics and know if I was right all along or if I've just been misled once more by terribly worded skills. So yeah, that's a topic for another video. Probably not the next one because that current video was already long enough to make. Trust me, I think accumulated almost 24 hours accumulated, yeah, easily. So I'm not gonna do another very long video where I have to cruise through God knows how many reports to have relevant stats. Next videos are probably gonna be a bit more light-hearted. So thank you for watching. I rewarded you with some extra bonuses. See you in the next one. Goodbye.